A recently married couple unexpectedly finds themselves responsible for a disabled child. They question their child's readiness for the assignment. At some point, when their 5-month-old infant is while they are sleeping, their puppy Charlie performs something so amazing that it makes them cry, letting them claim it was a miracle. The doorbell interrupted their peaceful moment. Afternoon, with its pushy haste. At first, Tom was so focused on his work that he hardly heard the sound. In the meantime, his spouse, Grace, she just finished her shift as a dedicated nurse and is excited for the comfort of their new home. They were unaware of the chaos occurring at their Maple Street house. After a few more tenacious with his phone ringing, Tom reluctantly got up from his desk. The scene before him broke his normal rhythm as he opened the door. A worried young person, a mother with a carefully wrapped baby in her arms, was standing on the threshold. She was unkempt. Her appearance and the fierce eagerness in her eyes clearly demonstrated their busy, ordered lifestyles. "We are about to enter a state of turmoil." It surprised Tom. He didn't know who she was or where she was from. It appeared that she felt weary and exhausted, as if she hadn't eaten or slept in days. Not only did Tom feel terrible for the poor woman, but he was curious as to why she had knocked on his door. He had a sneaking suspicion that the woman was hungry, and even though he knew he could help her, he was astounded by what she said. She pleaded, tears running down her cheeks. "Please. I am no longer able to care for him. He is now yours." Stunned, Tom tried to comprehend the woman's words. The infant, a small creature wrapped in a faded blue blanket, cooed. The mother handed Tom a piece of torn paper, then abruptly pushed the infant into his arms. Without another word, they raced off. Everything happened so quickly that Tom couldn't react. For a brief moment, he seemed to be in a trance, looking down at the infant in his arms with complete focus. Startled, he then jolted out of it. "Wait!" Tom yelled. It was too late, though. The woman was rapidly moving away on foot. Tom contemplated following her, but it appeared that she was moving quickly. Had disappeared around a bend. He was unable to sprint through the streets in pursuit. The mysterious woman was holding a baby. Looking down at the sleeping baby, Tom's heart pounded with a mixture of bewilderment and fear. Grace arrived a few seconds later, her eyes widening at the sight of her husband. Infant at the door. "What's that, Tom?" Strange thoughts wandered through her head. At first, she believed that Tom had cheated on her, since he would have a child otherwise. However, the thought vanished as quickly as it entered her mind. She was aware of and trusted her husband. There would be a reason. Tom passed the letter to her without a word. They read the letter together, their emotions growing more solemn with each line. It was revealed that the mother knew the boy would be safe with the Millers even if she was unable to care for him. Knowing Grace was a nurse, she'd picked them because she knew she could provide the attention he required. Baby. It had been 3 months since the mother gave birth. Her family was nowhere to be found. And the child was when the father saw that the infant was paralyzed from the waist down, he decided to leave. People around her treated her as if she were at fault, even though it wasn't her fault. Giving birth to a child that was disabled somehow made her evil. She finally broke down because she was overwhelmed and could no longer provide for the baby's needs. She stated, sobbing, that she needed time to care for herself. However, deeply she expressed regret for her decision and expressed her belief that Tom and Grace could fulfill the role. Her child desperately needs extra love and care. She also mentioned that she had visited Grace in the hospital after giving birth, and since then had shown her kindness, so she chose to give the child to her. The letter was accompanied by another document. The document granted custody of the baby to Tom and Grace. She had not, however, provided them with they did not have her birth document, so they were unaware of her identity. After exchanging wide-eyed glances, the couple turned back to the letter. I reread it to confirm its authenticity. As soon as they provide proof of authenticity, immediately, Grace's caring instincts took over their reality. She brought the infant inside, soothing him with soft murmurs. They knew instinctively that they had to step up to the challenge despite their shock and anxiety. As caring and affectionate people, they could never let a child suffer. Now, this infant is completely needed by them more than ever, alone. He was their unanticipated gift, and they promised to love and care for him unconditionally. Make an offer. The Millers adjusted to their new responsibilities as parents throughout the course of the weeks. They said that I immediately fell in love with baby Oliver. It was difficult at first. Oliver required immediate care in order to monitor his status and evaluate his health. Whether his immobility will prevent him from leading a full life was unknown to them. For a few weeks, Grace took time off from work to care for Oliver. Luckily, she took a few vacation days. It wasn't an issue because the hospital was accommodating with regard to maternity leave. The duo were relieved to see that Oliver's immobility would enable him to lead a complete life. The bottom portion of his body would never be used, yet he could develop into autonomy. Their new normal was endless diaper changes and restless nights. After settling in for a few days, Grace and Tom contacted their lawyer to inform him of the situation took place. They wanted guidance on their next steps. After a few days, their lawyer advised them. Since they had been unable to find the original mother, they were able to legally adopt Oliver. Additionally, they had a signed contract from the birth mother, which allowed them to relocate, with no one challenging the adoption. Being the good-hearted person that she was, Grace consented to adopt Oliver legally. Even so, she hoped that the woman would show up one day, but she felt sympathy for her predicament. She was eager to spend time with her son again. However, life had to go on. The couple had no idea that they were going to experience yet another miracle in life. While they were in the middle of there as they settled into their new routine, yet another surprise arrived at their doorstep. Grace came upon a tiny, unkempt puppy. They found themselves shivering on a cool morning in their backyard. Its fur was matted and it appeared afraid and forlorn. Grace ignored it and gently brushed it away. She brought the puppy inside and held it in her arms. At first, Tom hesitated and was concerned about the additional responsibilities, but Grace's will prevailed. They chose to take the dog to the veterinarian. According to the veterinarian, the puppy was lost and without a trace. Except for a slight ailment, it was healthy. But Charlie didn't seem to trust anyone else. Despite their kindness, Charlie continued to show up cautious around people. He loved to spend time with Grace, but he was clearly hostile toward Tom. The primary issue was that the puppy became restless while Grace was with Oliver. It was not encouraging. At first, Tom was considering giving up on Charlie because of his actions. The Situation was problematic, and they couldn't afford to put Oliver in danger. A few days later, Tom gave Charlie a chance to go on a morning stroll with him. To create a relationship. Tom quickly became friendly with the puppy. The pair came to the conclusion that, following some, Charlie would eventually come to like Oliver as well. The pace of life accelerated. Grace balanced changing diapers and giving late-night feedings with her rigorous work at the hospital. To be more helpful at home, Tom changed his work schedule. The pair had to balance work, housework, and other obligations in a delicate dance. Considering Charlie and Oliver. Charlie, in particular, was needy and yearned for the attention he received. Never obtained. However, Oliver needed additional care to make sure he had adequate workout for his lower extremities. The families of Grace and Tom were very kind, however, they were unable to assist due to their hectic schedules. Frequently, Charlie would snarl at them when they did come to see. It appeared Charlie was adamant about keeping his new family safe and made it clear that outsiders were not welcome within his personal area. Despite the mayhem, there was a hint of happiness. Oliver's contagious chuckles and Charlie's antics brightened their lives. Their family was filled with love, even during the difficult times. Most chaotic times. However, the difficulties were far from over. One night, following an especially stressful day, Grace saw that Oliver was feverish. When the fever persisted after a few hours, panic struck. He was hurried to the hospital. However, among all of this chaos, there remained a glimmer of optimism. After a series of diagnostic tests, as they entered the waiting area, some shocking news was revealed. Apologies for the disruption. Please like and subscribe to the video before we continue with the story. The channel. It is of significant importance to us. Thank you very much. Oliver received a diagnosis of an uncommon disease. It appeared that this ailment was only temporary. His legs were immobilized, allowing Oliver to regain his mobility. The duo was elated. It's a miracle. Unfortunately, the doctor was unable to precisely predict when this would occur. He urged them to remain optimistic and upbeat. In addition, he gave them advice on how to properly. Oliver was susceptible to infections. Grace explained the care they had been providing for Oliver. So far, Oliver, the physician, was thrilled and gave them praise. He subsequently scheduled a 2-month appointment. I'm hopeful that by then, the couple will have some positive news. Given Oliver's situation, we provide ongoing attention to detail and expert treatment. Tom and Grace took turns staying at home to care for him, as they watched with heartache. Their infant has difficulty. They clung to the optimism that a breakthrough would be imminent. Observing the family's distress, Charlie stayed by Oliver's side. It was consoling to have him around. One evening, Tom dozed off on the couch due to extreme exhaustion. During Grace's errand-running trip, the baby monitor was softly crackling on the coffee table. I am closely monitoring Oliver's cot. With his ears pricked up and ready to hear any noise, Charlie rested at Tom's feet. Despite his initial actions, after getting to know Oliver, they became practically inseparable. It appeared that they recognized Oliver's need for extra attention and made the decision to safeguard him. A gentle thud awakened Charlie. He followed his intuition and hurried to Oliver's room. The child somehow, he had managed to get through the vertical slats of his crib while he was asleep. With the top of his head jammed against the bed's edge, he was perilously hanging off floor. He was positioned in a vulnerable position, with his head barely supporting his body. Oliver's paralyzed lower limbs made it risky. Squirm back onto the bed. His head and neck couldn't support his weight for very long. Every moment he would drop to the ground entirely. His body's angle meant that such a fall would probably be deadly. The puppy's next action was miraculous. The young dog appeared to sense the urgency of the situation. The circumstance. He approached Oliver closely, gently prodding him back up into the cot. He uses his nose and his body to protect the infant from any additional danger. Tom rushed to the nursery after waking up to Charlie's whining. The image of the welcome warmed his heart. He finally arrived in time to witness Charlie's final attempt. Repositioning Oliver's body in the crib. Tom hastened to the location next to the crib, where Charlie was now positioned as a guard. Oliver was telling lies. Grasping the puppy's fur with his small hands, he carefully lowered himself back down. Tom experienced tears welling up in his eyes. I recognized the strength of Charlie and Oliver's relationship. When Grace got home, she discovered Oliver and Tom dozing off in the nursery. Charlie huddled next to those. She was overwhelmed with gratitude for their small family and joined them in silence. It was sufficient that they had each other in spite of the difficulties. Days became weeks. Oliver's health gradually improved. Oliver's momentary paralysis began to subside, and he recovered his ability to move his legs. The Millers were ecstatic and full of optimism for what lay ahead. Juggling parenting, employment, and getting accustomed to a schedule made caring for Charlie easier. Oliver grew even more. His smiles and joy make their days better. Always by Oliver's side, Charlie remained a loyal friend. One bright afternoon, the family members were having a picnic in the backyard. Oliver, now a boisterous toddler, pursued Charlie. His laughing filled the air as he walked around the grass. Tom and Grace watched with joy, their hearts full. At that moment, they recognized the inciting incident. What had brought Oliver into their lives turned out to be a boon. They had developed into the family is united by love and fortified by their shared experiences. However, there was yet another surprise in store. After several days, the doorbell rang. Charlie shot off. Oliver toddled gleefully close to the door behind them. The closest person, Tom, moved forward and opened it. He wiped the blood from his face. Discovered who was waiting. She was the birth mother of Oliver. At once, Tom yelled for Grace. She recognized Tom's face and the woman they were with. She knew who was at the doorstep. Her eyes were watering as she gazed at the woman. She thought the woman was here to steal Oliver. And it crushed her heart. Grace moved aside to make room for the woman. The woman and her partner conversed in complete silence. However, the woman made no attempt to communicate. Enter the house. Instead, she handed Tom some documents and departed. Once more. Naturally, a letter was present. As before. Carla, the woman, clarified that she received the necessary assistance and was in a sound mental condition. She expressed regret once more for what she had done and wished the couple the best possible life deserved. She added that they had complete control over whether or not they chose to share her with the child. She had accepted her decision and vowed never to challenge Custody. She wanted to end this phase of her life since she was getting married. Grace considered Carla couldn't pass judgment on her, even though her comments seemed somewhat self-serving. Being with Oliver and experiencing the hate she encountered probably left her scarred. Grace wanted to inform Carla that Oliver was no longer paralyzed. But the ship had sailed. She grinned to herself because she knew she was going to tell Tom. Even more exciting news. She was 8 weeks along in her pregnancy. She has experienced another miracle, adding to her already small family. The Millers turned their attention to the future. They possessed the knowledge that they would confront any obstacle. Together. They had learned from their experience the value of love, resiliency, and the unbreakable ties of family are significant. Oliver was healthy and happy, and they enjoyed every moment with him. Charlie. He continued to play a significant role in their lives, his playful nature and steadfast devotion a constant. A source of happiness. Charlie and Oliver developed a closer bond that was sure to endure forever. With hearts full of thankfulness and hope, they pushed forward, ready to accept whatever they had adventures ahead of them. Did you find this story entertaining? Do you believe that dogs and children can coexist peacefully? Cohabitate? Can a dog actually save someone's life? Please share your thoughts in the provided space below. If you appreciated please click the like button and subscribe to this channel. This is such a touching tale. Many thanks for listening. Until the next video, see you. Have a wonderful day.